Hey there, friends. Welcome back to Legally Armed America. I'm, of course, Paul Glasgow here, the one and only truth pimp, dealing you a vulgar display of logic and reason on a daily basis. Today, I'm going to do a video not totally opposite from yesterday's video of the light rail stabbing in North Carolina, but it's going to be something that the media will likely salivate over. You're going to see a different direction, a different move by the media to want to cover this one instead of suppress it, like yesterday's story that happened weeks ago or a week or so ago, and they just now are talking about it because we, if nothing else, we guilted them into having to talk about it. Let me show you the news clip first, and this is something that, if you're a good parent, this one might be a little bit tough to watch.
Well, a spiritual delusion, and that's what officials in Northeast Ohio are calling the drowning deaths of a father and his 4-year-old son.
So this happened over the weekend south of Akron. According to the sheriff there, around 1 a.m. Saturday, a woman and her husband believed God was speaking to them, so they jumped into a nearby lake to prove their faith. Investigators say the husband went back and jumped in the water again hours later, around 6:30 a.m. So 2 hours after that, the mother went back and threw her 4-year-old son into the lake as an offering to God. Finally, around 10:30 a.m., the mother drove a golf cart with her 3 teens into the lake.
I think this was a husband very devoted to his wife. I think they were also devoted to the Bible, and that just manifested itself incorrectly.
Well, the teens are okay and staying with relatives. The mother is currently in a mental hospital, but is expected to be charged with aggravated murder.
Well, it's official. The legacy media in this case got their nightmare fairy tale, something that they're salivating to cover, complete with an Amish cast, shattered faith, and enough spiritual delusion to keep primetime panels gloating for weeks. So this one here is like chum for the media. I mean, it's got a white person that they hate committing a crime. They're like, thank God, finally. They also have somebody saying they did it in the name of God, which they hate more than anything. This next clip is probably more troubling than the actual newscast because it shows the mother. The state of mind that she's in it's a little scary. Now, I'm going to say this in defense of the Amish. Up to now, the Amish have had a pretty darn good track record. Like, very healthy, very clean living people. Didn't get the vaccine. Don't have levels of crime, anything, nothing to speak of at all. I mean, do you ever hear of Amish crime? They don't bother people. They're not loud. They don't get belligerent. They stick to themselves. They mind their own business. Very rarely do you hear from them. In fact, the only time I ever hear from them was when somebody rear ends one of their horses and buggies on a Pennsylvania highway. This is odd. I want you to see this mother, and I want you to see that mental issues exist in every walk of life, even if you're not ingesting the chemicals and the medications that we non-Amish are. This is a clear-cut sign, to me, I think, of schizophrenia. And to me, it's troubling to see how calm this mother is, knowing that her husband is dead, and she just, essentially, because she drowned him, murdered her own 4-year-old son.
Gave him to God.
She gave him to God today.
Yes.
What do you mean by that?
I threw him in the lake, and I gave him to God. And people are going to tell me I am crazy, but he is real, and he loves you. He really does love you. He loves you. And I doubted him. I doubted him so many times. But I am to tell you, he is coming soon. He is coming very soon. Prepare your hearts. The end is close. And I'm for sure supposed to tell you that he does love you. Okay?
Ma'am, can you explain to me what happened? Who did you throw in the water?
I gave my son to God.
Your son?
Yes.
Where's your husband?
He went for a walk this morning.
And you haven't seen him
He
since?
didn't ever come back. And we went to the boat and his clothes were there. And God told me he's in the lake and a fish swallowed him. And you're actually supposed to go look for him in the bottom of the lake. And you will find the fish. And you will find my husband. And then you will believe. But ye of your little faith, that did not believe before seeing.
Okay.
So send people down to the bottom of the lake looking for a fish that has been held.
How old's your son that's in the lake?
4. He's sweet. I love him. I gave him to her.
Okay. 7/9/40 Central. We're out with the mother. She is advising that she threw her 4-year-old son in the lake to give him to God.
Man, that is wild. That is wild to see her act like that. And I don't know if that's her 2 sons with her, the 2 Amish-looking young men that are with her. I don't know. I know that she did try to drown 2 or 3 teenagers on a golf cart that she drove into the lake this same morning. So I don't know who those young men are, but you can just see the look in their face that they're equally troubled, right? But this woman is not batting an eye at it. Like her belief system, she's fulfilled what she thought she needed to fulfill on this day. And clearly her husband, the thought that 2 people were suffering with schizophrenia and had this same, I guess, ailment and carried this out are very rare. So it sounds like, and which is not normal for an Amish culture, but it sounds like the male was pretty subservient to the mother, to the wife, because she definitely has a screw loose, as you saw in this video, and the father, the dad, just went along with her, right? So really strange there that this happened. In fact, she said that he was in the bottom of the lake, that a fish ate him, the husband. So far, prosecutors have dropped indictments for aggravated murder, felonious assault, child endangerment, and 3 counts of domestic violence after she drowned her youngest son and, again, rammed the cart with the other 3 teenagers on it. I think a teenage daughter and 2 sons were at the scene as well. But you're going to see the headlines. They'll be dripping with sanctimonious outrage by the wackos on the far left. Mother seized by God. Kill son. They'll mock the Christian faith. You can believe that. Faith itself, well, it's definitely going to be on trial. I mean, there'll be pundit circles that are going to be ready to jump on Christianity and any other religion for that matter, except Islam. They won't touch Islam with a 10-foot pole for fear of losing their heads. You can bet that every church-going parent, every small-town family that has any kind of relationship with their own faith, any person of faith is going to get dragged into some kind of collective reckoning that has nothing to do with anything. They're just going to lump them all in the same category. You know, when a trans person shoots up a school full of children, oh, let's not blame every trans person. But when you have somebody like this who clearly has a screw loose, like the trans people, and they do something, every single Christian gets lumped into the same category. Oh, they're all crazy, right? But let's compare how the media chooses their heroes and their victims. Ukrainian girl stabbed on a North Carolina light rail, probably same age as one of Ruth's sons. No opportunity to poke at Christians there. The mainstream narrative, it just evaporated. Nobody wants to talk about it. Again, they had to be guilted into talking about it. No in-depth wall-to-wall coverage, no primetime therapy sessions on what's going wrong in our society. If the suspect falls into any of the center to right-leaning groups out there, Christian, white, working class, traditional family, anything like that, and they commit a crime, the formula in that case is pretty much going to be saturation. The media is going to love it. I mean, you can expect this to be carried everywhere, but if we have a, quote, immigrant or refugee or preferred minority, well, we're not going to talk about the background. In fact, let's don't even show pictures of that. You know, I saw a news article yesterday that showed a picture of a victim and a suspect in a different crime, and somebody responded on X, hey, please don't show the picture of the suspect because it might invoke some racist comments. Really? Maybe you should be thinking those same thoughts because that person was an animal. Why are we afraid to hurt their feelings? I mean, it's never about justice, healing, public safety, any of the little buzzwords that the left likes to murmur. It's about the news cycle and how they can make money off of it, get clicks, get eyeballs looking at it. You see, most center to right people get their content like we are. That's how we ingest it. We get online, we find more trustworthy news sources. Anybody who's disseminating information that we feel like they're not lying to us. I mean, I'm giving you my opinion whenever I give you these stories, but I'm not lying about them. Like, I don't cherry pick the facts and things like that. You'll see sometimes I'm torn on a particular story, but like this one kind of. So I don't cherry pick things and I don't embellish on them. Do I give my opinion? Of course I do. Every single day. And I will continue to till the day I die. That's why I'm here. I feel like we don't have a voice from center to right. But we get our news and we source from independent places in most cases. Where the left-leaning people are usually sitting on the couch with a bag of Cheetos all day long looking at what? Center to left media. And usually it's far left media. That's how they get it. That's why it's important to them to feed that. Feed those bums that are expecting that. They know that they already have them hating us because what are we doing? We're at work. So they hate us. So they're not trying to cater to us on the right. They're only catering to those on the left. So they shape their news to fit that group of people. That's why. It's not that they might actually not have a problem with Christianity or religion or anything like that. But they know they can't take the side of it because those people are working a 9 to 5. The ones sitting on the couch hate those. So we got to talk about those people when we can actually get a negative slant on it because these people are our core audience. Now I want to talk a little bit about Ruth, the mom. Severe untreated mental illness. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Apparent schizophrenia, if you ask me, psychotic episode. It's definitely a mental disorder of some sort. Again, I may not get the clinical wording of it proper, but the lady does not appear to be all there. This is a classic, tragic example of what can happen when someone's distorted perception of reality is, in my opinion, left unmanaged. And I don't mean medicated. I mean, somebody working with her, trying to help her. I mean, obviously, none of what she's dealing with, these demons, have been managed over time. Friends, this is fundamentally similar to the experience that I always talk about of transgender people suffering from their own serious mental health issues, and it goes unaddressed. Both situations involve individuals grappling with powerful, sometimes dangerous beliefs that feel absolutely real to them. And yet, we can look at this mother who just drowned her 4-year-old, and we instantly all, I think, agree she has a mental problem. But we can, through the same lens, look at somebody else, male or female, pretending to be the opposite sex, and a large group of people will high-five that person and celebrate their mental illness. We're literally talking about two very similar mental illnesses identified in the DSM-5 book. And one we, I think, wholeheartedly can all agree on. And the other one we're split on it just because the media and society tell us we have to be split on this. You realize that nobody has a natural thought that the transgender people aren't mentally ill? That seed was put in your mind by somebody, whether it's the media, whether it's politicians, whether it's some paid for group. Nobody's talked you out of the schizophrenic lady being normal. Nobody is celebrating her. But we're dealing with two very similar mental conditions that are completely unmanaged. In Miller's case, her delusions drove her to believe, in her own mind at least, that she was acting under divine command. I mean, this led to horrifying consequences for herself, her family, and of course, her 4-year-old and her husband ultimately. So when those same people afflicted by gender dysphoria or other co-occurring significant psychiatric type conditions don't receive rigorous and appropriate mental health treatment, that potential that we saw in Ruth Miller for being self-destructive and even dangerous to others, especially if underlying psychosis or a severe mood disorder is involved, these things are a powder keg. They're not just going to fizzle out on their own. Guys, I say all this because even though I might be sarcastic and a little bit smart-mouthed and a little bit blunt sometimes, I do consider myself a decent person. And just like I want to see people like Ruth get help so her family, especially a 4-year-old, doesn't suffer, I don't want to see these trans people suffering either. I think that the deinstitutionalization, big word, that took place in the 90s, we need to take a really hard look at that. I'm not saying that we drive down the road and lock everybody up that we think is a little bit cuckoo. But the fact that we deinstitutionalized these mental hospitals, and I know we still have some mental hospitals, but it's usually a wing in a normal hospital. The fact that we threw the whole baby out with the bathwater. In other words, the mental institutions were being abused, and the people in them were being abused. There's a lot of bad stuff happening in them. Well, we just shut them all down. And we did this. I'm going to put a video out on this later and show you guys, explain how all that took place. Pharmaceutical companies were behind that. You may not realize that. The whole deinstitutionalization, Google it if you don't believe me, was a product of, we've discovered new medications that can help people deal with and treat their own mental illnesses without having to be locked up in a mental institution. That's how we got here. We got to take a real hard look at maybe going back to maybe a hybrid version of that. My thoughts and prayers are with this entire family and the whole Amish community. Again, I think the Amish community is a very respectful community. I think the way they conduct themselves should be a model for a whole lot of people, the way they do a lot of things. And I'm certainly not trying to cast stones at the Amish community. I think in this case, unfortunately, because they do live in that closed up society, sometimes things like this, probably where people do have a bit of a mental issue, it's probably not tended to right because they're dealing with it in traditional ways, right? Again, not medicating and things like that. I'm not suggesting she gets medicated. Again, I think that, and maybe she has been receiving a form of therapy with visiting with people and all that, but surely somebody had to have seen this coming because she did mention that she has been talked to and she's hearing these voices telling her to do these things. And I can't imagine they just kind of showed themselves on this one and only day. So again, not a knock at the Amish community, and I certainly didn't want to come off like that because a lot of respect to that community. Guys, if you know somebody out there that needs help, help them get help. I mean, there are people that are doing things to themselves, and as you see here, to their own families, because they have a bit of a screw loose. And if we can help these people, think of the 4-year-old boy. Think of what was ahead of him. And he lost his life because his mother's condition went unattended and no one dealt with it. It's a shame, guys. If you like the video, please share it. Please make sure you're still subscribed. Please tell your friends and family members if they like similar content. Come here, check out Legally Armed America. Don't forget to go to my website, legallyarmedamerica.com, and sign up for the newsletter and check out our daily deals over there. Guys, we'll see you tomorrow. Don't forget, guys, if you're looking for a book to educate yourself and to educate the idiots out there who can't think for themselves regarding mass shootings, go to damnliars.net. Again, damnliars.net, and get my brand new book, Damn Liars.
I'm sorry, I thought this was America.
It's hanging around.